Won't you listen to reason? Will you open your eyes? It's a wonder what you'll find with an open mind. You may be surprised. Yeah, gotta get away from this illusion for the sake of the world. This delusion, it's gotta go.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Atheist Experience Live. I'm Matt Dillahunty. This week I'm joined by Don Baker.
Hey, good to be here.
How are you?
Just fine.
Awesome.
Just fine.
Awesome. It's Sunday, June 23rd, 2013. We are live from Austin, Texas. And I think that's actually all I'm allowed to say anymore.
And it's hot.
I don't know. It is hot. Oh, and after the show's over, some of us are going to dinner at Threadgill's, 301 West Riverside Drive. And, you know, if somebody else showed up, that'd be, you know, their prerogative. So there's a bunch of stuff going on, but you've got something to talk about first. This is a live call-in television program here out of Austin, Texas, and we'll have the number up shortly. There's already people waiting to talk to us, and we talk a little bit about everything, kind of. I mean, originally when I first got involved with the show 8 years ago, something like that, it was a lot of theistic calls or no calls. I mean, there were episodes of the show where there were
uncomfortable gaps, didn't we?
two or three calls for the whole show, and it was just empty lines. And now we're full up, and we're full up before the show starts, and it's been amazing because we may talk about, we want to know what people believe and why, so that we can have the discussion and people can understand more about atheists and atheism and what it is and isn't. And that's kind of what you've been doing in your series a little bit, is kind of giving people an introduction to the basics. In addition to addressing religious claims.
Sure. And today's topic is kind of an Atheism 101 thing. It's all stuff we said before. I don't think we've ever done it as a package or as a single thing. And it fits in with my theme of talking about the failures of Christianity or the failures of religion. And I've done 15 plus shows on this, 15 different topics. And you'd think if there was a God and he was all powerful on your side helping you out, you wouldn't have quite so much failure. But
today on the show, we get to check out Don's package.
I guess.
We talked about beforehand how we're allowed to do that. You said nobody ever packaged it like this
right,
before.
It's all bundled up.
Here we go.
So today is
Buckle
the
up.
failure of faith. And in debates and discussions, when we debate and talk with theists, we often raise the question of what evidence do you have for your God, or why would someone want to believe in a God? And often when there's no evidence to be found and you get down to the brass tacks, you get this response back, well, you just got to have faith. We hear that a lot. You just got to have faith. But faith is the reason people give when they don't have evidence for something. And I'm not talking about faith that the sun's going to come up tomorrow, because we have evidence that the sun's going to come up tomorrow because it's come up every day for billions of years, and we have pretty good idea that it's going to happen tomorrow. So we're talking about religious faith or faith without evidence, and if people had evidence, they would provide it, right? Why would they hide the evidence if they had it? So. And unfortunately, faith is usually something like wishful thinking. It's something they want to be true or they were told it was true. And atheists know that faith is not a virtue. And that's kind of the theme today. So we talk about, today I want to talk about why faith is a bad thing and why communal faith is worse and why mixing church and state is worst of all. And those ascendingly bad things are the cornerstone of religions and the goal of many religions, and this is a failure in promoting this terrible idea. Well, why is faith a bad thing? Well, easy. When faced with a decision or a question, there are many more ways to be wrong than to be right, right? And if you don't have evidence for whatever, if you don't have a good reason for whatever your choice is, you're likely to be wrong. You're very likely to be wrong. And so maybe that lucky pair of underwear won't help you get the job that you're interviewing for, or maybe Jesus won't come back and fix the environment for us. And to make matters worse, wrong beliefs inform actions, or beliefs inform actions, and the wrong beliefs lead to actions that are harmful often, or less desirable than you might want to have. And so faith leads to harm, even if it's unintended. Well, communal faith is even worse. Communal faith, like the faith of a group or a church or whatever, is no more likely to be right than the faith of an individual, although the faith might be packaged in such a way that it's more appealing at some level. Usually part of the meme of that faith, or the way it's propagated, is the believers in that faith are special somehow, and they have special knowledge or whatever, bunk. So, and of course mass delusion is strictly worse than individual delusion. So think of the 9/11 attackers and their faith that their martyrdom would lead to virgins in heaven, that they'll either have sex with forever and ever or blow up in heaven, I don't know what. And the potential for harm by communal faith is amplified by the size and the power of that community. And the group dynamic serves to confirm and reaffirm the incorrect belief, so you're less likely to hear something that would contradict that faith, that message. So, and a group of gullible, and the worst thing of all perhaps is the group of gullible people who are willing to believe things without good evidence, collected together is just a magnet for the unscrupulous, con artists, and demagogues. So that's how communal faith is worse. Well, the worst thing of all is when church and state are mixed together, and this combines all of the bad things. It combines bad reasons for belief, servile attitudes, graft, corruption, and all the power that a government might have. So think of what happens here is you have inquisitions or blasphemy laws or mandatory worship and tithing. These sorts of things are what happens when you have church and state put together. And this is why, and in political discourse, the word God, when a politician brings up the word God, it's usually meant as a vehicle to shut down critical thinking and engage this patriotic servile attitude that people have, and this has been part and parcel of so many different religious-based governments down the road throughout the years, and think of God mit uns, the German God is on our side, which is much older. So the genius of our founding fathers was to make this country secular, and they did so for good reason, and it's something that atheists feel very strongly about and we want to defend, and we think that everybody should. We think everybody should support church-state separation because the state religion won't be your religion. So faith is not a virtue, it's a path to harm. Religion promotes communal faith, which amplifies the harm, inhibits correction. And mixing church and state is worst of all, perpetuating and entrenching the harm. And these things are encouraged and promoted by religions, including Christianity, and this is yet another failure of Christianity.
All right.
So let's take some calls.
Sure. We can get started. I think I've done all the announcement stuff we need to do, so we'll start with Connor in Glasgow.
Hi.
Hi, how are you, Connor?
Hi.
You're on the air.
Good, yeah.
I'm doing pretty okay.
Cool. I'm just calling because I believe in rebirth.
Okay.
Consciousness is the product of a physical brain. So anywhere where a fully functioning brain is present, there has to exist a conscious experience, obviously if they're awake.
No. Just because there is a brain doesn't mean there's a conscious experience, because brains can be dead
right.
or damaged.
Well, that's why I said fully functioning.
Sure. So if consciousness is a product of a physical brain, and then what on earth makes you think consciousness could possibly survive that physical brain?
Right, because consciousness is not bound to a single brain. It's the product of a physical brain. Sorry?
How do you know? Because as far as I can tell, consciousness is about a single brain.
Yeah, but anywhere where a brain is present, like the ego, you're talking about the ego, like being me. Obviously, I won't get to continue to exist, but you can't ever experience the absence of experience. So
sure.
wherever there's a...
Yes, you can't experience not experiencing. That's true. And so when I'm dead and I stop experiencing, I won't be experiencing anything.
Yeah, but it's not the complete absence of experience. It's just that you'll stop experiencing, but
Actually, you will
ego
stop.
that was you will cease to exist.
No, one more time, what was that?
Your ego will cease to exist when you die. Like, you don't get to continue living, but
Correct.
conscious experience doesn't ever end.
My conscious experience will end.
Right.
Okay. So what is there that's rebirth or reincarnation if my conscious experience ends?
Because consciousness doesn't pick brains to jump into. It's just a state. It's not an actual thing. So if your brain just ceases to exist, you won't. Like, I don't believe in a soul or anything like that that's transferred. I don't mean rebirth in that sense. I just mean a purely physical product of a brain.
I don't see how you got to rebirth. Everything you say seems to argue completely against the idea of rebirth and reincarnation.
Right, but there's no transfer, there's no soul, it's just a physical function of a brain. The only reason, we can only experience one body at a time, that's it.
What? I don't... You said you believe in rebirth and reincarnation, and everything you say is directly contradictory to the idea of rebirth and reincarnation.
How?
Because rebirth and reincarnation is this idea that I will be reborn again.
Yeah, right. I don't mean ego as in self, because that's just a product of the brain. That dies when the brain dies. But what I mean is that subjective, internal, conscious experience can never end, even though you will end.
Why can't it end? Why can't I? If there's no more brain, then obviously I'm not experiencing anything, right?
Correct. But there's other brains.
But I'm not those other brains.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. That
Are you okay? Okay. What if we wiped out all brains?
Right. Well, we can't. Well, I guess that's a good point, but we can't ever be sure that.
Okay, but if we've wiped out all brains, then consciousness ends, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you're wrong.
Right. A physical structure that can support conscious experience.
I don't see how you get the transference.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
There's no transfer of me.
Yeah, what you're saying doesn't make any sense.
It has to do with understanding the ontology of consciousness.
Okay. Then I guess I don't understand. Thanks for calling, Connor.
All right. Bye.
Yeah, I don't get it. Now, if you're just talking about, I mean, he seemed to be talking about consciousness as in not my consciousness or your consciousness, but consciousness as a concept.
Mm-hmm. Like the
But
collective
that
unconscious
also requires a brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how you get to rebirth or reincarnation from any of that, but anyway.
If you lose your identity, it's not reincarnation, right? It's something else.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the people who tell me that, no, you'll be reborn, you'll just be, everything about your body will decompose and you'll feed the tree and then you will be the tree.
Right.
No, because there's no me left
There's no
anymore.
me left,
the
right.
parts of me, well, sure.
The atoms and all that. Yeah.
I'm happy to
those
be
are
worm
reused.
food. Actually, I'd kind of like to be chopped up and parted out if there's anything useful rather than just being worm food, because I like humans better than worms.
There you go.
Sorry, I'm speciesist. It's just the way it's going to be.
You're going to get emails, I know.
Yeah. Oh well. from the people who are part of the voluntary human extinction movement.
Right.
Yeah. I still haven't figured out why they're still alive. Leonard in Beaumont, how are you?
Okay, how are you?
Pretty good.
What you got today, Leonard?
You're live on the air. What's your question?
Oh, I had wanted to ask you guys if y'all ever heard of a lady named Tracy Alexander.
Tracy Alexander.
It doesn't ring a bell.
Well, I had got a book from her a couple of years ago that had me exploring the whole atheism thing.
Mm-hmm.
And she had she was into religion real heavy for studied different religions, and she came to the conclusion that there is no God, and she feels that most religious people, that the main religious people probably came to the same conclusion too, but they're not admitting it because they basically capitalize on people that does believe in God.
There's some debate about that, right? You wonder with some people whether they really believe it or whether they're doing some sort of cynical thing. It's hard to prove, though.
Yeah, we don't have, I have no doubt, and by the way, if you've got the stream going, you may want to turn it down because I'm hearing a little echo, but I have no doubt that there are people...
Is it better?
I guess so. I have no doubt that there are people who don't actually believe the things that they talk about, because I have good reason to think that there are liars and people who are intentionally out to deceive and make money and exploit other people. But I don't know how many of the religious leaders, for example, fall into that category when it's much easier to explain it as they sincerely believe that they've just made errors in thinking, or that they are convinced for whatever reason. And they might believe and still exploit people for money and whatever else. I'm reluctant to, I'm still hearing the echo, but I'm reluctant to assert somebody else's motivation, to pretend that I can actually climb in their head and figure out, no, they don't really believe, they're lying. Now, certainly there are times when we can figure out that somebody's being dishonest, but I don't know if that's a majority of religious leaders or not.
And I think there are a lot of people who go to church that no longer believe. I think they just go through the motions, or a lot of folks just go through the motions, or they go along to get along, or go along to please their wife or whatever, or because they like the community aspects of it. So I think there's a lot of non-believers in the pews as well.
Well, the conclusion where she actually came up with is the fact that like in the journey of a man is to basically have his own authority, and she was like, you can't do that if you're constantly worshiping God. Like you would always have to follow God's authority, and that goes outside of man's human nature.
Well, I think there is some infantilism going on in that, daddy's going to spank you when you get home sort of thing. You have to ask God for permission to do this or that, or it's everything you do is filtered through this lens of religion. I agree with that point. That makes sense to me. But there's a lot of atheist authors out there with a lot of different viewpoints, and I encourage you to be skeptical of everything you read, even if it comes from an atheist. And check out a lot of different things. There's a lot of good literature out there, a lot of good arguments and things.
Yeah, I just read a lot of different things. I listen to y'all show a lot.
Okay.
Listen to a lot of y'all old shows that have me thinking about a lot of stuff, like a lot about the homosexuals and the marriages and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I really don't.
This might be a big week in that area.
Tomorrow. I personally, as far as homosexuals getting married, I don't condone being a homosexual, but I think I don't support any type of gay rights, but I support human rights, and I think it's your right as a human to marry whoever you want.
Sounds
and
good.
It's like there's a
I don't know if I'd say it sounds good.
Well, human rights. If you're basing everything in human rights, I think you'll often get the right answer, or the answer I would get. How about that?
I guess the good thing is that nobody's waiting. Nobody cares whether or not somebody else condones what they do. This is about not preventing people from exercising their rights.
Right.
Although it'd be nice.
I think to me, it's like what religion does is whatever they don't like, they specify it by sticking God wouldn't like it either thing. That's what I don't like about religion. Whatever they don't like, they try to stop it.
Yep.
Regardless of what it is, and then they stick God into it, which makes it better for the nation, I guess, to be on their side. I think the best way to get back at gay people is for you not to be gay yourself.
There you go.
And just, I don't understand why they all this protesting.
Okay,
and
I'm down with that. All you people who are hating on the gays, don't be gay yourself. That's brilliant. That's the best thing you could do.
Most of the time, most of the people that are gay are actually Christians. So
yeah,
well,
that's a sad thing.
I guess. Anyway,
one more question.
Sure. Go ahead.
I had got like I asked this question on like a Yahoo thing, and it got like a lot of hitbacks. Do you think that like it seemed to me like most intelligent people aren't dumb enough to believe in a God? And when I mean I'm not trying to like
So here's the thing.
Fun or point fingers, but it's like I said like isn't it funny how our most intelligent people such as scientists and things like and people of those titles actually try to find out if there really is a God, and so they're more skeptical. And then there's people who that just follow, anything.
So the key. I don't know what's going on in the background. The key here, Leonard, is that I don't equate this with being stupid or dumb or an IQ or anything. It's more about information. I was a Christian for 25 plus years, and my IQ didn't go up. That's not why I was an atheist. It's just access to different information and learning about how to process it more reliably. And that's why education is a good indicator. And the fact that somebody's educated doesn't necessarily mean they're smarter than anybody else. And there are plenty of well-educated and very smart theists of all different stripes. It's just, we can make mistakes. Or maybe they have access to information that they somehow can't relay to anybody. But anyway, thanks for the call, Leonard. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Have a good day.
Yeah.
Whoop.
Cut him off.
Mike in San Diego, how you doing?
I'm great, man. How you doing?
Pretty good. What you got for us?
All right. I just wanted to ask you guys. I am recently becoming more, active or aware about my atheism. Mm-hmm. And there's a couple books that I've started reading or that are on my reading list, but really I was looking for maybe like a top 5 from you guys.
So Russell put together a blog post on this recently. If you go to the
Free Thought
Blogs, Atheist Experience blog, I know he's got a post up about it. So one of the things that I can't do on the TV show is recommend that you buy any books, but I'm pretty sure that I can recommend that you read some. So it depends very much on what exactly it is that you're looking to study, because there's a truckload of good books in all the different areas. So is there some particular area you want to focus?
Well, I can tell you a couple that are on my reading list right now. I've got The God Delusion, A Universe from Nothing, and I figure I should probably also read some form of the Bible. I was wondering actually if you have a specific version of it you'd recommend. Maybe you want to translate more accurately.
I'd keep it cheap and entertaining and start with skepticsannotatedbible.com, where you can read the Bible and some amusing commentary about what's wrong with it while you're reading it.
Yeah, that's the King James Bible, by the way. Yeah. Theirs is the King James. There's a lot of good books on biblical skepticism, but that's kind of a specialized topic, and that may or may not be of interest to every atheist. A while ago, a number of years ago, Jeff D. did a show on the atheist bookshelf, and he promoted a lot of books. Demon Haunted World is one that is always highly recommended. Numerology. Innumeracy.
Yeah, John Allen Paulus has a book called Innumeracy, which has absolutely nothing to do with atheism, but it's a brilliant book at looking at how we're not very good at thinking about some things, including math. Sagan's Demon Haunted World, depending on, obviously if you're reading Krauss, you might also consider Vic Stinger's God the Failed Hypothesis. If you're looking at Bible stuff, most of the stuff written by Ehrman is good. Also Richard Carrier. If you're looking at,
Richard Price.
Robert Price.
Robert Price.
If you're looking at atheism and stuff like that, Greta Christina's book Why Are You Atheist So Angry is way up there on the list. Guy P. Harrison's 50 Reasons People Give for Believing in a God, and my very good friend Jerry DeWitt has a new book called Hope After Faith that is just now coming out. Which is kind of his little autobiography, kind of touching on what Leonard said about believers potentially in the pulpit. Jerry's the first graduate, for lack of a better word, of the Clergy Project, which is a project full of individuals who are in the clergy and yet don't believe, and they're kind of stuck there. And so it's a little support network for them.
Maybe a path of breadcrumbs out.
And
Yeah.
Jerry was, a Pentecostal preacher who is now an outspoken atheist, and some would say an
He's
atheist,
an atheist preacher, yeah.
No doubt about it.
He's got that going on.
Even more so than I ever thought I could be. Jerry will preach, and I love it. Anyway, thanks for the call, Mike.
Thank you, Matt and Don. You guys have a great day.
And consider going to a national convention, because that's a great place to network, and you'll plug into a whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of current events, and it's a lot of fun.
Or hook up with one of your local groups. The odds are pretty good these days that there's a local group within driving range of most people in the United States. There are some holes, and we're doing what we can to fill them with something other than God.
Yeah.
Is this Nobob or Nobob?
Yes.
Which one?
Nobob.
Nobob? Okay, cool, thanks. And you're in Titusville. Thanks for calling.
I've been to Titusville. What's up?
Hi, how you doing?
Good.
I just have a couple, I don't know, I'm first time calling, getting a little nervous. My first question is, did you guys research all the religions, or did you guys just research Christianity and then come to a conclusion that there's no God?
Well, it would be impossible to actually research all of them. So my process, after I could no longer call myself a Christian, I didn't identify as an atheist, and so I started investigating other religions, Judaism, Islam, Buddhism, the major ones, and then I realized that this was going to take forever. I have a standard joke that I started with Buddhism because I realized it was going to take a long time, so I wanted to find out if I only had one life or many lives to possibly investigate this. But then I kind of did a short circuit and realized that I don't need to... I'm happy to investigate and consider the claims of any religion, but we need to look at this at a lower level. What kind of God might exist, and the arguments for the existence of God. The arguments for the existence of God don't really differ between Christianity and Islam and Judaism for why they think there is a God. It's just they're arguing about the specifics of the nature of that God and the specifics of the individuals involved with this. And so it doesn't make any... Why would I spend a lot of time listening to somebody tell me how wonderful they think Jesus is or how awesome Muhammad was if we haven't established any good reason to think that there's a God in the first place?
I see. And what do you guys know about Islam?
Oh,
like how far did you guys go? Like with your
bits and pieces. I know it's a kind of
Islam.
It's kind of a bag on the side of Christianity and Judaism. It's kind of combines ideas of those things. It's supposedly a revealed religion. There's a lot of controversy in the Quran about the various passages therein, and as far as whether they're incite violence or not. The God of Islam is the God of Abraham. It's the same God as of Judaism and of Christianity. So there's really not much difference as far as the God question, as far as I'm concerned. And I'm all up for if you have evidence for your God, bring it on. Let's hear it. That's
the point. As far as my understanding is, if we can define God, and then there is a contradiction because you cannot really define God because God is not the creation. God is the creator.
Okay, well, if you can't define it, then you can't possibly have a rational justification for accepting it. If you can't define it, then you cannot comprehend it. And basically you're saying you believe something that you can't comprehend. And I don't see why anybody could or would do that.
Okay. What I'm trying to say is if God is in the creation, that means that God is a created, where we believe that God is not a created. And if you can see it, if you can feel it, if you can imagine it, then it's in the creation, which means God is a created.
That's nonsense. That's simply not true. I mean, I can imagine things that aren't in existence. And clearly, you say not to define God, but you are defining God by saying what God isn't. that God isn't in creation, and you are imagining something. You are imagining a construct. So you have to do that. You have to do that in order to even talk about it. I mean, something that's completely non-defined, we can't even begin to have a conversation about it, and you couldn't possibly have a rational justification for believing it. So this kind of tap dance that people do by saying that, oh, God isn't defined. Well, what they really mean is that God isn't well defined, that they are accepting this ill-defined abstract notion, because as soon as they start to define it too much, it crumbles away, and there's no reason, the evidence doesn't support the claim.
Okay. What I'm trying to say is, what I'm saying is, you can say what God is not, but you cannot say what God is. Like God is not a liar. God is not.
So then he's a truth teller.
Right.
Okay. And if God is not in the universe, then he's outside the universe. See,
right.
You can't do, when you say that all you can do is say what God isn't, that's also about what God is. That's exactly what the definition means.
Okay, I didn't understand.
So if you can't define what a God is, why should anybody believe what you think a God is?
Because to me, if we say God is a human being, that means there is more than one God.
Well, I'm not saying God's a human being. Who said God's a human being?
I'm just giving an example.
I don't know what that's an example of. I don't see that it touches on Don's question or what we were talking about. Don was asking you, why should people believe this? And you said, because if we say God's a human being, then there's more than one God, which had nothing to do with what we were talking about.
Or it could be anything in the creation.
I'm not saying that, I'm not saying that God has to be in creation or any of that. We're asking you, why would anybody believe that something exists if they can't comprehend it and don't have a definition for it?
Okay, when I say God is a creator and not the creation, what is your think process?
I don't see any reason. I don't know what you mean by creation. I'm assuming you mean the universe, everything.
Everything, yeah.
Okay.
Everything God is.
I don't see that as a creation. I think that's a dishonest argument. I think that by calling it creation, you're trying to smuggle in the fact that there was a creator when that's a fact that needs to be demonstrated. So instead of creation, I would say reality or the universe and everything, and you need to demonstrate that there actually is a creator of all of this and that it's an intelligent agent. You don't just get to assume it.
Okay, so I was just trying to understand. That was my question. And until you have the physical proof of God, you say that there's no God.
No.
We don't believe.
So first of all, it's not a matter of you summing this up as physical proof, because I'm fine with reasoned arguments that are supported by evidence. But we're not saying there is no God. We're saying we do not believe there's a God. There's a big difference.
Okay. Oh, that was my question.
We're still looking for somebody to explain to us why we should believe, and nobody seems capable of doing that. Nobody, and usually, the people that try to present a logical argument end up presenting a fallacious argument, or we get stuck kind of doing what we're doing here, which is, oh, we're not really going to define this, or it's something that you can't. I hear this a lot more from Christians than Muslims, but it's that your intellect cannot begin to touch God and comprehend it. And my answer is, okay, then I can't possibly believe it, and neither can anybody else. I mean, you've got to be able to at least define what we're talking about and then demonstrate why anybody should believe.
That because Islam, we believe this is our test that there is a God exists who always existed. This is the test for the hereafter, where we say there is a God, where we believe and we have to worship, which means the honor.
Nobob. What you're telling me what you believe, not why you believe it. When I say why should someone believe this, and you say in Islam we believe it's our duty to believe. Okay, great. Congratulations. I think you've accepted a duty without any good reason. I'm wondering what the good reason is for accepting this.
The reason is, for my reason, that the book the Quran, I believe that it is the Word of God because for me to believe, I did research, and what I needed to know, that's what I got in my brain. So in my conclusion, I came to a conclusion that he exists, and I have to.
So why do you believe that the Quran is the Word of God? Because, if somebody were to say, is this the Word of God? Is this the Word of Don? Is this the Word of Steve? I would have to have a good understanding of Don or Steve first to determine whether or not this book is from them. So how on earth could you begin to use a book to prove the existence of what, or conclude that it's God that wrote the book?
Islamic belief is, we know that the Quran is a speech of God, not what.
How do you know?
Because it came through Angel Gabriel.
How do you know?
What was that again?
How do you know that?
Because it was a speech, it was a message from our Prophet Muhammad.
Okay, and so because Muhammad said it, it's correct.
Right.
Okay.
Because we follow him, yeah.
Yeah, but why should we believe that Muhammad is correct? Couldn't he have been wrong or lying?
No, because in the history, no one knows, most Islamic, as far as I know, he's an honest man, he never lied.
Well, okay, first of all, as far as you know, he never lied. I find that absurd because everybody lies. But the other thing is, you're accepting the word of somebody that you believe to be truthful about extraordinary things.
Unless they can prove wrong.
No, that's not the way reason works. You don't believe something until somebody proves it wrong. You withhold your judgment and you do not accept that it's true until it's demonstrated. And the mere fact that somebody who you think is honest tells you something. I mean, my mom is honest as the day is long. But if she tells me that she was abducted by aliens last night or that angels came and tied her shoes together, I'm not going to believe her because that's not enough evidence. Just the fact that somebody honest tells me something.
Okay.
And I also don't see any reason why anybody would think, matter of fact, I find it patently absurd to claim Muhammad was 100% honest and never told a lie. I find that to be just absolutely ridiculous. Of course he told a lie.
Well, tell me why, how do you know that he told a lie?
Was he human?
Yes.
Okay.
Humans are fallible.
Don't humans lie and make mistakes?
As far as I'm concerned, yeah, but
okay.
But
is there anybody that you know of other than Muhammad who has never told a lie or made a mistake?
I also believe Jesus never lied.
Okay, so you think Muhammad and Jesus are the only two people who ever lived who never?
There are all the prophets. Not all. There are prophets that also we believe they're sinless. They never lied.
Sure. So you've picked out a handful of prophets, and you believe that they've never lied and never made a mistake. And why do you believe that?
Yeah. My question was about the definitions of God. But we're going somewhere else, feels like it.
Well, yeah. I'm just asking. You say you believe this because Muhammad said it, and he never told a lie.
Right.
Well, that reminds me of George Washington and the cherry tree. What reason do you have for thinking that he never told a lie and never made a mistake?
Because of his history.
Well, do you know everything that ever happened in his entire life? Were you there?
No, I don't.
Okay, so you're basically just believing that he never told a lie and never made a mistake because you because you don't have evidence that he did.
Right.
Do you have any evidence that I've ever told a lie or made a mistake?
Well, as far as I know, I don't know anything about you,
Okay,
basically.
so
except I don't even know your whole name.
Okay, my name's Matthew Wade Dillahunty. I've got it on my driver's license. And as far as you know, I've never told a lie or made a mistake, right?
Right.
So add me to the list of your prophets and take it when I tell you that believing something because someone who you think is truthful said it doesn't mean that it's reasonable to accept that it's true. You have it on the word of Matt. Thanks for calling.
Okay.
Did you have anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay.
We're not going to.
Thank you for your call.
All right. Thank you.
Cool. I like it when we both recognize we're not going anywhere. So much more fun. Adam in Hilton Head, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you, sir?
Pretty good.
That's good to hear. First off, I started watching y'all's podcast, I guess you would call it, on YouTube last night. I was listening to my non-existent God's music. It's called Christian music or contemporary music.
Okay.
The music exists.
Do what?
The music
exists.
The music exists, yeah. And,
It's gotten worse though, because when I was a
a
teenager, we had like Carmen and Petra, early Petra, where it was acoustic and it was still the same band. So I mean, that was actually decent.
Absolutely, and then DC Talk too.
Yeah, that was crap. Sorry. I didn't like that when I didn't like that when I was a Christian. So go ahead.
Yeah, and it's about the message. And it's interesting that I put a quote around when you say was. How can you say that you were a Christian and you're not anymore? I mean, obviously you converted to atheism.
Well, it's not something you convert to. Atheism is not a worldview. There's no dogma, no tenets. It's not something you convert to. I used to believe and follow the teachings of Jesus Christ and seek to convert others as well and live as a Christ-like life in accordance with my obligation under 1 Peter 3:15, and now I believe that I was mistaken all of those years, that I didn't have any good reason to do so, and so I don't believe. And because I don't also believe in any other gods, I'm an atheist. I mean, that's the label that fits when you don't believe in gods.
And that's interesting that you pulled that scripture to placate your argument.
Yeah, well, I had an obligation.
Right.
Okay.
So what's your point, Adam?
My point is that, I've talked to an atheist on Facebook, and me and him are kind of going round and round, and I realized that atheism puts no faith. They actually have no faith in anything that's pure.
What do you mean pure?
No pure love. Well, there's no such thing as
I don't have
pure
faith.
love
I don't have faith in anything, but I don't know what you mean by this pure and pure love and all that.
Right. I mean, you love your children just as well as I love my children. Correct?
Well, if I had any, I'm pretty sure that I would. But I get your.
You
I
don't
love
have
my
any
family.
children.
I love my family.
Okay. This is okay. So when you have a child, then you'll know that there's a God.
Okay, so now I know that you're just a prank caller. Thanks so much, Adam.
I'm not. No, I have a point, sir.
Oh, come on now. Adam, do you not realize that there are countless atheists who have children, and you're saying that I'll understand it when I have kids? First of all, there's nothing about having kids that demonstrates that there is an intelligent, supernatural agent outside of the universe that created everything and gives a rat's ass about who I have sex with. There's nothing about having a kid that does that. This appeal to, wait till you have a kid, first of all, it's insulting because it implies that people cannot grasp this. But also, it's a stupid way to defend what you actually believe because you're admitting that your belief is so weak and feeble that the only thing that could possibly convince somebody is the magical mystery of having a little bundle of joy in their arms. And that's crap. That's not even biblical. You're just making stuff up to try to justify why I don't believe when you do. And so you found the one thing that's different, and that must be the hole in my heart that needs Jesus. I have to tell you, Adam, there is no hole in my heart. I am free from dogma, I am free from superstition, and I am striving to be free from fallacies, like asserting that you'll just get it when you have a kid.
How can you be free from dogma when something that is dogmatic can never be changed?
Yeah, you stop accepting the dogma. That's how you're free from it.
And you speak out against it,
okay.
and you.
But really, how can you not accept something that's unchangeable, irrevocable? That's like saying, let's go back to the little bundle of joy that God has created in the mother's womb, that evolution cannot prove.
What do you mean evolution cannot prove?
Does God crawl up in every uterus?
You do realize that procreation is the driving force of evolution, right?
Yeah, but the odds and chances of evolution making what we have today
are 100%.
Is 100%. That is completely wrong, sir.
No, we know that it happened.
Anything.
We know that it happened.
You have absolutely no clue that it happened.
Okay.
Your evidence is just as unprovable as any other evidence.
Do you have a belly button?
Do you? Yeah,
Yes,
we all have a
yes.
belly button.
Right. That's
Why?
evidence that you are a child of your parents, right? That you came from your parents. Your parents effectively created you, not God. They have belly buttons, and so on, and it goes all the way back.
So here's my main question. Why I called is what hope do you have in life? As an atheist,
Oh, we're
what
so
hope
pitiful.
Do you have?
I'll tell you.
You don't believe in hope, do you?
Sure.
Yes, I have all kinds of hopes. As a matter of fact, as I just finished explaining, my good friend Jerry DeWitt, who was a Pentecostal preacher, who has a kid, by the way, and who is now an outspoken atheist, just wrote a book called Hope After Faith that perhaps you could read and gain some understanding, because the
Hope
fact...
after faith.
Yes, he's no longer...
There's no such thing, man.
Bye. I either don't believe you or don't give a rat's ass what you have to say anymore. I'm sorry, Adam. If you're just, oh, no, you can't have... You know what? This question about meaning and purpose, what meaning and purpose can you have in life without a God, is really insidious. Because religions, Christianity in particular, infect you with a disease, or more accurately, make you think there's something wrong with you so that they can offer you the cure. And so they make you think that you have a hole in your heart that they can fill with Jesus. And they make you think that without a God, your life has no meaning or purpose. There is no intrinsic meaning or purpose to life. There is no externally imposed meaning or purpose to life, and you wouldn't want there to be. Why would you want somebody else to pick your major? Would you want somebody else to tell you at birth what job you should have? Would you want somebody to pick out your mate for you? Make all the decisions in your life for you? That's what an externally imposed meaning and purpose is. I have whatever meaning and purpose for my life that I choose to give it. I am free to explore the universe and engage in things and take joy and pleasure from learning and experiencing and having sex and eating food and, yes, even having babies. None of it requires anything from a God, and a God necessarily diminishes all the value of that. When you walk around and you look at a beautiful flower and you say, oh, isn't it wonderful what God has created? That's horseshit. The flower is beautiful because of this grand process of evolution that has tuned our brains to accept some things as attractive and some things as not attractive. But really, the variety within the flower world is beautiful because it tells us a lot more about the individual species that are running around pollinating it. And you can go around and look at all this stuff, and it is more amazing than you, Adam, can possibly comprehend. And if you inject a God into it, you've diminished all of that, because a God could create a flower that is so beautiful that when you look at it, you had an orgasm and died. But that's not what happens. And when you inject a God into this, you infect and poison absolutely everything, to borrow from Hitchens. I don't need a God for any meaning and purpose in life, and neither does anybody else. And you wouldn't want it. What you want is the security of not having to admit that you don't know things. So you pretend to have answers. Like, oh, I don't understand. How can Matt seem to be so happy? How can Matt possibly enjoy life? Oh, it's because he doesn't have a kid yet. That's not the way it works. Sorry, Dean in Glen Cove, how are you?
Hey, so nice to speak with you. I've been listening to your show for probably a year and a half, and you've been a big influence on me. I so appreciate you guys.
Cool, thanks for calling. What do you got for us?
I'm calling for two reasons. One, I find there's this, I don't know if it's new, but it seems new to me, this inference always to put God outside of any natural, any kind of natural phenomena. And it seems to me like they're still trying to hide God somewhere. They can't find any place to put it. And
well, we have this God of the gaps problem, right? Where as we learn more and more, the places where we thought God becomes replaced by scientific understanding, right? So, like
the
lightning
gap
bolts,
has been shoved
right?
so far away now. It's just infuriating to have these conversations. And I'm having this conversation with a minister of my church. Actually, I'm an out non-believer atheist, and still continue to attend there.
I'm sure he loves that.
Yeah,
they don't like the question answer thing. Yeah.
They hate it. Actually, I was able to actually get her to sit down and watch Julia Sweeney's one-woman show.
Oh, good for you.
And she watched it, and she got up and she said, oh my God, she left my house.
Maybe we'll have a Clergy Project inductee someday.
That's the thing about gaps, though, is that every time you fill a gap, what you do is you create a new gap on either side, although they're a little bit smaller. And so you fill those gaps and you create a new gap, either smaller. That we've seen this example before when you string up a line of skulls from our ancestors to now.
Sure.
And okay, tell me exactly where there's an ape. But the good thing is that while they do use this God of the gaps, the more we learn, the smaller and more diffuse their God becomes. So.
Well, they've been able to do this new thing. Well, it seems new to me, where they actually have now just put him outside of the universe and outside of everything that we could ever know or measure or anything, and that's where he safely lives.
Stay there.
That's a game. That's a game to make the God unfalsifiable, right?
Yeah.
Yes, and it's so infuriating to me.
Right.
But the thing is that when they do that, they also have set up a God that they can't possibly rationally justify, which is how we end up back to where Don started the day with, oh, well, you just got to have faith. No, I don't. Thanks for playing.
Well, one of the things that made me have this conversation with the minister at our church, she said from the pulpit about a year ago, and I was kind of going through my deconversion still, she said, I'm not even sure I believe any of this anymore. And I thought that was an open door to have a discussion with her. And I think since she's been found out a little bit by me, I'm one of the only few people who I think in the church has had a deconversion experience besides her.
Dean, you need to direct her to the Clergy Project, because
she knows about it. She actually brought it up to me one day.
Oh,
do you know anything about the Clergy Project? I said yes.
She can be anonymous. And there are people there who can help her with the frustrations and doubts and things like that she's experiencing.
Let me make a point here. Sure. that the clergy have this conflict of interest issue, right? If they are super honest or they come out as atheists, they risk losing their jobs. They risk losing their livelihoods, and that's something to think about.
I feel very little compassion for that, I suppose.
Yeah.
Liars make me pissed off.
Sure. Well, the coming to atheism is a process, and if you look at the testimonials on our website on the ACA, you'll see that a common theme among those is often a multi-year transition, 5, 7, 10 years of searching and exploring and these sorts of things, and it's a long process. And so that you could say that the folks who are searching are being dishonest, but that's a little black and white,
Yeah, I think you're right about that, and thank you for kind of softening me a little bit on this. I think part of it is, I bring up little things. We had a big discussion about the Bible. I had her here at my house for, 3 or 4 hours one day, 4 or 5 months ago, and we sat down, and I told her that I took her Bible class. Well, she doesn't teach it, but another fellow at the church teaches it. And I finished reading the whole Bible, and I said I've also been following the skepticism on the Bible too. And she said, well, how is it all turning out for you? And I said, the skeptics win.
that is a path for a lot of atheists.
I told her that I'm going to an atheist meeting here close to where I live in Long Island too. And she's turned to now just calling me heathen. So anyway, I find it frustrating.
With love, I guess, right?
She's in the same place, and I feel like she's somebody that I could actually be friends with, but she's in a very conflicted place, and I have to have some compassion for that.
Yeah. You can't convert somebody to atheism with just a few words or a few arguments and things. It is a process, and it sounds like you're new to atheism, which may mean that you're maybe a little bit strident, a little bit of an activist, and that's good. Yeah. But that will soften over time too, and become more nuanced.
That will make me feel better.
Well, we want you to be a hardcore atheist, but the tactics change a little bit as you become more hard-boiled, I think. Anyway.
Well, I like that. One last thing I wanted to bring up. I have a mother who's a fundamentalist Christian in California and belongs to a huge mega church, 3,500 people. campaigned against Proposition 8. I'm a gay man. I've been with my now husband. We got married
Yay, congrats.
year and a half ago, and we're together for 18 years, I suppose, altogether
Awesome.
now.
Awesome.
Well, now you got to get divorced.
I got married. I'm a gay man, and I got married in New York too. So
I'm out as a gay man, but I was ostracized because of my mother's religion for 8 years, and then we broke the silence probably 10 years ago. But she's always been on the fence about talking about the gay thing, and I have not come out as an atheist to her, and I'm just kind of thinking, I know where that led last time of 8 years of complete being cut off, and I fear still coming out to her.
I would be prepared, having heard this many times before, for the, oh, well, now I understand. Of course you don't believe in God because you don't want, you don't want to hear that God doesn't like what you do.
yeah, oh yeah,
Right.
all that manipulation. Yeah,
Right.
it sucks.
It's a very difficult
I got the
thing.
double whammy. At least I'm not black and gay and an atheist.
Yes.
Right. Well, you gotta love your family. Try to keep your communication lines open if you can.
Yeah, I'm the
and
one
these
who
are hard
does
things.
most of that work. I'm the one who does the calling and the visiting, and they haven't been here to visit me in, I think, about 12 years now. But I try to keep up with them.
Right.
But they're the good Christians, of course. I'm a little bitter about that.
Well, thanks a lot for the call, Dean. I got like a minute and a half left. I want to try to get one more call
Go
in.
for it.
And,
nice to talk to you.
thank
Thanks.
you.
It was a pleasure to talk to you. Hope to see you in Austin sometime.
Thanks so much. Also, as a reminder, as you can see on the screen, there's no show next week. It's a fifth Sunday, and we're taking the Sunday off. But real quickly, Bill in Salt Lake, you had a question or an issue.
Yeah. I heard you say that you just got a couple of minutes left here, so I'll try to be as brief as I can.
Please.
Yeah.
I consider myself an atheist in regards to a personal God. But on the question of what Hitchens refers to as a prime mover or little agent, I consider myself an agnostic because, Krauss and Hawkins both claim that they can prove that the Big Bang could have occurred without supernatural intervention. And even though that they can prove that it could have occurred without supernatural intervention, it does not prove that it did occur.
Yeah, correct, but that's a shifting of the burden of proof, first of all. The time to believe that first of all, I don't know, by prime mover, do you believe that it's intelligent? Do you believe that it's an intelligent agent? What reason do you have for believing any of that? They're actually putting the credits up on the screen, so we're not going to have time to finish this. My answer is, I see no good reason to think that there's an intelligent agent involved, and the point at which that should be believed is when there's evidence for it. And we shouldn't go around shifting the burden of proof to say, well, we don't know for sure that there's not a God who did this. You're right, we don't know for sure, and I don't give a rat's ass. Thanks a lot for the call.
Hey, could you give me a couple more minutes off air?
Sure, hang on. Thanks, everybody. We won't be back next week. See you in 2 weeks.